So just got done with Charles Wilson. Love Charlie. Birth date 7/27/26. No, 7/27/26. Yep. You heard that right. That makes him almost 94. What a great guy. He still hikes twice a week. He's part of a hiking club. And he has had very few problems actually with his computer. Of course, he has a Mac, so there's very little trouble there. But check this out. So Charlie gets a call a few weeks ago by a company called ClearVoice. Little did he know that that one phone call would cost him over 3 hours of tech time from me. At one point, I had to get on the phone and discuss the issue with CenturyLink. And I talked to 5 different representatives, and I was on the helpline for 2 hours. I'm just leaving his apartment for the 3rd time to fix the final issue that was a cascade of events that took place from that one phone call. So these jerks called him and got him on the phone and made him believe that they were calling from CenturyLink. They wrested his phone number away from him and got him to agree to port his phone number over to them. So in effect, what this did was botch up his service with his current provider, CenturyLink, which also provided him a DSL internet connection. So his internet connection didn't go out right away because they still provided service to that line. But when someone called his phone number, his voicemail wasn't set up properly, of course. They don't tell you all the things that you need to do when you change your phone service, but of course they sent him a bill. He finally discovered that this company took his number away, and he attempted to deal with the situation by calling CenturyLink. After many calls to CenturyLink, they agreed to come out and reconnect his service with CenturyLink. Next Friday, never came. They never showed up. And then the next Friday, never came. They never showed up. Then he was stuck in a situation where he just got so fed up and just canceled his service. So now guess what? Now he has no internet. He realizes this and gets on the phone with them again and gets them to start up service again. Well, they incorrectly started up service and didn't provide it correctly. They didn't change the proper switch at the box. They sent him a new modem though, which of course just kept flashing red lights because the internet wasn't working. So that's where I entered the picture. I showed up and discovered all of this, only to find out that the number hadn't been ported back to CenturyLink yet. So we had to get on the phone and port his number back. Well, since he had just recently canceled service, this was a problem because it was under 30 days. Long and short, I had to spend many hours on the phone with CenturyLink and a number of phone calls to me while I'm driving around in town because I gave them my phone number. I basically pretended like I was him. I've got his last 4 digits of his social security number. I memorized that. And I memorized his mother's maiden name and his account number and his address because I needed all this information every time I discussed anything about his account with CenturyLink. Of course, they want privacy protected. So after an outside verification service calling me twice and all sorts of other conversations, we finally got his internet back running and his phone number ported back over after another visit by CenturyLink to correct the problem, to get his internet back going. All is well and good, right? Well, not yet, because what happened was they didn't tell him he has to set up his voicemail again. And of course, they didn't instruct him to set up his account again. Fortunately, he still has his same email address, and they didn't take that away from him. But nothing is associated with his account number. After 3 separate account numbers, the previous one, the new one, the canceled one, the newest one, we finally got him back set up. But his voicemail wasn't working. And he thought it was his phone, because his phone is what normally handled answering service, right? He doesn't understand this. So now when you call his number, CenturyLink takes over and doesn't allow his home phone to operate properly and answer and activate the answering service on his home phone. So he went out to 3 different places and finally found himself a home phone. He wanted me to come and install the home phone because he said his answering service, his answering machine wasn't working. So I get over there, and of course his answering machine is still working. His phone is still working, but no one can leave a message because CenturyLink answers it before his answering machine answers it and gives the message that you can't leave a message. So he was very frustrated. So I got there and I saw this new phone that he bought. And this new phone that he bought from Walmart eventually, first of all, requires batteries. Now check this out. Batteries, 4 AA batteries. No power plug for this thing. So he couldn't believe that. I said, yeah, this is actually a phone that you can't plug in. And he says, I don't want to change the batteries every few months. I said, neither would I want to do that. So I said, return that phone. You don't need this phone. I'm going to set up your answering machine on your other phone. Let's see if it works. And of course, it does work. But in order to do that, I had to call his CenturyLink voicemail service and set that up. They let you set it up. They let you proceed through the menus. And after a very quick session of doing that, they speak very quickly. And this 92-year-old is trying to keep up. And he's stopping the process in the middle, talking when he's not supposed to be talking, and announcing his voice when he's not supposed to be. We're going back and forth. We finally get it set up. Voicemail set up. Now I want to set it to the number of rings because he actually doesn't even want to use CenturyLink voicemail. He wants his answering machine to operate and give him his messages like he always has been doing. So the problem was I had to set it up in order to make it ring more times than his answering machine. You follow? So we get it all set up, but in the menu options, there's no option to change the number of rings. The default number is 4. Well, that answered just before his other phone answered. So this meant that I had to go establish an account with CenturyLink because he has no account now. He has no CenturyLink account online. So we had to go to his computer and set up an account, which of course requires all of the information from his bill. Well, there's conflicting numbers on his bill. His account number's not correct. It recognizes an old account number when I use that to set up his new account, but it doesn't recognize his new number. And of course they need a security code, which is not listed anywhere in any of the billing information. So we had to make a phone call. After 15 minutes, nobody's helping us, and we're still on hold. I enter into a chat window and chat with someone, and finally got them to set up. After over 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, we finally got them to set up everything. Got his account online so we could see his bill, and so that we could administer changes to his voicemail. So I was directed to the page to change the number of rings, and I changed it from 3 to 5. It was actually set to 3. So I set it to 5. And as soon as I went to set it, it said, "We are experiencing technical difficulties." Fortunately, I had the chat window open, got the lady, Lisa Bell, or whatever her name was, to set the number of rings. And so I wanted to test it. And she says, "Oh, it won't take effect for an hour." Great. So we can't test it. Finally got him. Went back to his answering machine, set that for 3 rings so that it answers the phone. And this is about an hour and a half. Actually, I've seen him for probably close to 4 hours to fix this issue. Poor guy. Charles Wilson, gotta love him.